Hey everybody, and welcome back to Blu-ray Hunter Reviews. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with
John Ward.
John Ward. John Ward's joining me. He'll be joining me occasionally for this, but he mainly joins me for the horror film lovers reviews and mainstream Mondays on horror film lovers. So, join us from that channel for more stuff. But we are doing the 2007 film Shooter, which was a film that John actually recommended to me, and I found at what is it? What was that one called? Big Lots. And I found a bunch of like movies that had like packs, and stuff at Big Lots or double features. And I found this, which was the Shooter and Four Brothers. I still haven't seen Four Brothers, and Shooter I just saw for the first time. So yesterday.
Are they on the same disc or are they separate
No,
discs?
separate discs.
Nice. Yeah, I still need to
So
see Four Brothers
and
too.
they've got the special features and everything, like they would have if they were separate movies anyway. I because
Did you watch any of the special features for Shooter?
no, I
I
saw
did,
that they had the survival of the fittest, the making of it, and then they had a
which was pretty
commentary
good.
by the director Antoine Fuqua, Fu, Fuqua,
Fuca or Fuke or yeah, however you say his
whatever.
name. Yeah.
As long as it's not
I I
Fuqua.
I like to put more of a flair to it. So like, Antoine Fuqua,
Fuqua.
type of
Yeah.
thing.
It sounds like some kind of like how people say kumquat, you know.
Kumquat.
Yeah. All right. So yes, you have a Blu-ray too.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just have
but
the Blu-ray of Shooter and so but I do want to see Four Brothers. If I knew that it was double featured, I probably would have purchased that one. But I was at the time just looking for Shooter, and I don't think that the double feature popped up. I got it off of eBay.
yeah, you
So
probably wouldn't have thought it. I mean, you probably didn't know it had a double feature somewhere. So
right.
and unless of that was one of the first things that pop up, you're not gonna be looking for it.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Which I
But
guess is something that you could tell, if you're a big Blu-ray fan like we are, you could actually like know that if you are looking for a movie specifically, on eBay or something, probably see if it has a double feature, with something. It might be just as cheap and gets you a bonus movie.
yeah, yeah, that is true. So I think I this was pretty cheap, but yeah, probably that double feature used would have been pretty cheap too. So yeah, so now I gotta. I actually did. Four Brothers, oddly, was at Goodwill when I went there last night, but it was DVD, but the disc was all scratched. So
Yeah.
it's just like, no, no, I'm not gonna get that. It's not a priority.
Don't you love when you
So
go to Goodwill or one of the other stores, the thrift stores, and you go in there and you open up the DVD and it's not there?
it's not there, or it's really scratched, or so yeah. They ask you when, and I've mentioned this on a couple of my Goodwill videos that you have to check to see if the DVD is there, make
Mm-hmm.
sure it's the correct movie and you
Making sure
need to
it's the
flip
correct movie.
it and make sure that it's not
Not scratched.
scratched.
Yeah.
So
They do that at the
it's
Re-store next to me. I'll always go in there and grab, show that off. But what were you saying?
well, and then the cashier will say, "Did you check to make sure that the discs are in here?"
Yep.
And I always say yes, and I look for scratches. So last night when I was at the Goodwill, is I got my stack that's like this high, and I'm just sitting there, check, 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 check. Okay, these three are missing the disc, so those boxes go back. Okay, check, 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 check. These three are scratched. Put those aside. Now I'm down to like this, and then it eventually gets down to like that. And then I could finally go because it's kind of disappointing when you know
How
when
much
you
is your
want
Goodwill? Like, how much are your movies at Goodwill?
the DVDs are 2.99 and the Blu-rays are 4.99. Four
So
ninety nine or 5.99.
mine, unless otherwise marked, they say like otherwise, like it might be like a box set might be like $10 or something, or whatever, especially if it's a really good box set. But generally speaking, mine's about $5 for two, like two for $5, and that's DVD or Blu-ray, or 4K or anything that's in there.
And that's Goodwill.
That's my Goodwill.
Oh yeah, they don't do that here. They do the colors.
They do the
So
colors as well, you
yeah,
know.
so one night I went in and it was gray, so I got like 50% off, but last night it wasn't. And yeah, if it's like a box set, they're normally more expensive. But I mean, I've come away with some good stuff there, so I'm reasonably happy,
Well, there
with
you
it.
go.
So
What?
it's but Shooter was eBay, and now I'm getting tired of eBay because they're you'll order something and then it will say very good, and they're not showing you what's wrong, even though they're giving you like five pictures. So then you get it and it's like, okay, there's a disc missing, the plastic's all cracked, and the slip cover is missing, which you said was there. Like all packaging is there.
Hmm.
So I told these people I want my money back, and I did. So, but every now it's just getting to that point where fuck, I'm just gonna buy shit new. I can't.
I've
I
had
can't.
I've had decent, stuff with eBay. Haven't had a problem with eBay yet, really. They're other than that Scream that they said was like Scream, but it was Scream 5, 4K or whatever. I've talked about this on multiple episodes or whatever, but like, you say, "Oh, it's Scream, right?" Which it is. It's Scream, but you gotta let everybody know it's not the original Scream. It's
Well, it should say
um,
Scream 5, and then the date.
right, but it
That
doesn't.
because that's what I've noticed is that you'll have on eBay is you got to be also careful is if you're buying a Blu-ray and it also has the DVD, sometimes it will just say Blu-ray,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get it and the DVD is missing. And then you go, hey man, the DVD is missing. And it says, did you read? It says Blu-ray. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say Blu-ray DVD.
Right.
And it's like, oh, come on, you're showing a box that says Blu-ray DVD, and you're saying Blu-ray, but that's what it's like, okay, let's get into semantics then. So that means, so you got to
Yeah,
really be, detailed with this whole thing. At least put DVD only.
right.
But it's like a trick that they do.
It's
So
like they want to get you to buy the movie thinking it's a Blu-ray, and then some of them will actually say no, no refunds, basically.
yeah, no refunds. Some of them are more honest. They'll say like no digital code, or they'll just say Blu-ray only, or no DVD. And those are nice. But of course, I'll never buy from them because I want the complete
Right.
thing. I even want the digital code if it's expired. If it's on the box, I want it. If it says Blu-ray, DVD, digital code, I want it all, even because I never use the digital code, but I want it.
I never do too. But you can sell
So,
the digital code. Weirdly enough, people buy digital codes,
oh, well, there you go. I got a
There
lot
you
of
go.
those.
Yeah, you could sell them on eBay. I think some people actually sell them on eBay. But anyway, to go back to this movie that we're going to talk about here. So like
Yes. Wait,
John
yes.
had suggested this movie, and I'm a big Marky Mark fan. I like him. Actually, interestingly enough, it's funny because I just watched this movie last night, and then I went on Facebook, and my friend Scarlett was acting in. She lives in Australia, and she was acting in a movie with Mark Wahlberg. She got to play his love interest, I guess, stand-in, you know, and everything. So she got to
Hmm.
be like right next to Mark all the time, like or right by Mark all the time and talked. And she said he was talking to everybody, and the funniest thing is the boy who was Mark Wahlberg's stand-in was named Rhett.
Right. The boy,
Yeah,
not the
the
man.
well, it was 24, so I guess he's a man. Yeah, he's a man, but
The boy, is he
whatever.
8?
Yeah, but the man that was standing the stand-in for Mark Wahlberg is named Rhett, and so it was Rhett and Scarlett together,
Oh, there. Okay, there
and
you
uh
go. I see
and
what you did.
so she thought that was hilarious. He had no idea what she was talking about. I said, "Did you ask him if he gave a damn?" And, but no, it was a funny like little Gone with the Wind moment that not I guess it went with the wind. Nobody, not many people picked up on it, I guess, then or whatever. Um, Especially not the young
Well,
people.
no, young people probably wouldn't know Gone with the Wind, or they would just find it
Well, I
offensive
would
and want
think
it
that's
canceled.
somebody who's named after Rhett, because that's not a very common name, you know. At least I don't see it as common. Maybe it is, but like, wouldn't you want to? I bet he was named after, you know, was it Butler, Rhett Butler or something? Rhett? No, that doesn't sound right.
He's
Anyway,
named after a woman.
yeah, no, that's Brett Butler. That's
Oh, okay.
Grace Under Fire's Brett Butler. No, which was funny because yeah, no, because I said that too, and I said that sounds very much like Brett Butler. No, what was the gun with the one? What was his last name? Do you remember? I'm looking this up because it's bothering me. As simple as it is, it's Butler, Brett Butler. So I
Oh,
was
okay,
right.
there you go.
So there you
Okay,
go.
yeah.
I know more than I think I know. Or
Well,
realize I know.
we got out here. Mark Wahlberg owns a few gyms, and I guess that he goes to them every once in a while. I just learned this, and he will take pictures with people and stuff like that, but he will only take pictures with good looking people that are fit because he wants to show the gym at like its height. So there's a little bit of that movie Pain and Gain, I guess, in there with him. And
You and your
he also
Michael
wants.
Bay.
Well, I'm going to be bringing him up shortly again, and uh, and he also wants to build a film studio out here. So we'll have Nick Cage and a studio, like a film studio, because
Nice.
he's tired of California and all their politics. So, but my question is, since both of us like Mark Wahlberg, and I've come to like him when I really didn't. I still watch every Earth Day. I still watch The Happening, which is by far his worst performance, but I think it's hilarious watching him talk to a plastic tree. And
Yeah, it's not the
it's
greatest movie, but my friend Roberto's in that movie, and so he's one of the people that are wandering around or whatever, with them. So you got some good screen time with Mark Wahlberg. But it
I would have loved out of all of M. Night's movies to probably be in The Happening because it's so awful I could watch it
yeah,
every year on Earth Day.
you'll sort of be like remembered for being in that movie though, like
Yeah, but that's hilarious because it's considered to be so bad. But
right, but like
it's so here's my question. And I thought about this the other day with some of the people that I like or have come to like. When is the cutoff? When do you just, and I don't want to use cancel. I fucking hate that. But when do you just stop liking someone? Like, I looked into Mark Wahlberg and I knew some of this, and it's when he was like 16,
the
he
criminal
like
past, yeah, stuff.
yeah, terrorized the black kids and then saw one of them the next day and did it again, and then beat the crap out of two Vietnamese people, and was into drugs and alcohol, and then eventually he did get his shit together, and then he wanted to get a pardon, which offended a lot of people, and then he stopped that. But and now he's very successful. So like I could bring Tom Cruise into this with Scientology, with how they destroy lives, or Mel Gibson, who I like, being very anti-Semitic, and
Woody Allen
when
we've discussed before where
Woody Allen, yeah, with yeah,
I
Sue Yi,
mean,
and when do you stop? When does it just become
look,
we're
you
done?
cannot like the person, I uh, well, okay. Victor Salva. I don't fucking like the dude. I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody does.
I'll flat out say it. And Alexa Nicholas, who's been doing a lot of the stuff, she has a whole thing called Eat Predators, and she's been going on this whole because she was part of Zoe 101, so she's part of that whole Nickelodeon thing. She's got her own YouTube channel, and they were just today. People brought up Victor Salva in the chat and everything and whatnot, and that just and like I guess she didn't even know, like she didn't know who that guy was. I don't think she watches like Jeepers Creepers or anything. So she had no idea the guy was a
A pedo.
yeah, you got to be careful what you say because sometimes you can get
Well,
bleep down
that's why
JFK.
pedo might be okay. So
Yeah.
that's you know.
But yeah, you know, I just look, I don't think okay, so
And it's
Robert
there.
Downey Jr. did some bad stuff, like he did drugs, he was, arrested, like there was some stuff. He went to prison, he,
Drugs, alcohol,
yeah,
people finding him sleeping on their sofa, you
yeah.
know,
And then he sort of I guess he paid his, he did his time, and he came back out and he looked for work and at first nobody was hiring him. And then eventually somebody took a chance on him and his stuff grew and he's just a charismatic guy. So like it made sense that he was going to continue to do what he loved and whatnot. And I think some people deserve second chances. You know, people like when they're that bad, like, some of the stuff I'm hearing about Dan Schneider and obviously that Brian Peck guy from Return of the Living Dead. And
that pisses me off so much because he was my favorite character in Return of the Living Dead. And of course, I picked the guy, who gets
then you
arrested for, having kid stuff on his computer
not
and
just
touching
that,
people.
he literally didn't just
So,
touch him, he
yeah.
sexually whatever. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm like I said, I'm trying to not say certain things so we don't get kicked off.
yeah,
So,
exactly. I'm trying not to either, but I'm like getting I'm getting heated about it
well,
because like
but
it's
it's like Robert Downey Jr. didn't hurt anybody but himself.
right.
He was being very self-destructive. But when you're Mark Wahlberg and you're beating people up or terrorizing kids because they're black, and then seeing one of them the next day and continue doing it, and
But that was
being
that was
on
I mean that was his
PCP
past. He
and
hasn't done anything like that since. I
well,
don't
no,
think
he
that's
hasn't. He does a lot of work with kids so they don't. And so I looked into him, and the guy is, and this is what I was going to say. I was going to bring up Michael Bay again. Is when you look at him, and I've been watching a lot of Peter Berg, and then you watch a lot of like Michael Bay, you immediately assume from the movies that they make that these guys are hardcore conservatives, that they're all rah rah America, everybody sucks but America. And then you find out that these guys are actually Democrats,
right.
but they're patriot Democrats. So when Peter Berg works with Mark Wahlberg, and Peter Berg has said, well, we get along because our values are the same. They're patriots for America, but they don't like the government, but they
Mhm.
do like soldiers, which is also like, Michael Bay hates the government but loves soldiers. He likes the military. And so you can be a patriotic Democrat that loves their country and make movies about it without being conservative. So when you do see movies like Shooter, to wrap around to that, this thing is laden with conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
I mean, this is you
I
and I
mean,
were talking about JFK, and it's like this is there's the great scene with the lead singer of the band. Sadly, he was dying of cancer at the time, and I've been a fan of the band since I was a teenager, and I love the band. They have some of the greatest music out there, and Scorsese even made The Last Waltz, which is about them,
yeah.
and which is still considered to be like the greatest concert movie ever, except for maybe Stop Making Sense. But that scene where he's talking about, and at first I didn't recognize him because he's so thin at that point, but when he's talking about all these conspiracy theories and the paper bullets, and I'm just like, this guy there should be a category of, there's best lead actor and then supporting. There should be like supporting. And I thought this guy did such a good, I mean, he's a drummer in a band, and he gave this, but he's been in a lot of movies anyways, but he gave such a great,
Mhm.
monologue and a great scene about all these conspiracies. And then you gotta, and then you do watch, other movies by other filmmakers like we'll say Michael Berg,
or
who does Berg,
Peterberg.
Peter
Peterberg.
Berg. So like Michael Berg is a friend of
You're
mine.
getting like
Uh,
Michael Bay and Peterberg together.
uh,
That would be
oh, there we go. That'd be a dream. But you see these movies, like Patriots Day and some of these other ones, and you go, he's such a conservative. And it's like, no, he's not. He's actually given to, I believe, like Peter Berg gave to like Hillary's campaign, and
you like? Are you talking
Mike.
about like movies like Battleship or?
Battleship is very, you can look at that as very pro Navy. You can look at that as very pro military, pro America type of stuff. And but these are not your these are not the guys that you think make these movies.
Right.
I mean, even look at the director of Shooter.
Antoine Fuqua.
It, yeah, and he's a black guy. So he's not, it's not like Alex Jones or something is directing this movie. But you what in the making of, they do talk to the author who says that this film is actually based on a real guy.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was in Vietnam, his assistant, the guy that's to the side of the sharpshooter, did die. And the guy was abandoned. And he had a completely different view of America. And so that's why he wrote the book. There's actually, I think there's 3 or more books, which is the TV show. I think each
The
season is
original
based on a
movie is
book.
called Point of Impact, which the TV show's first episode was called Point of Impact.
Yeah.
So they were very much trying to keep it a little bit more toward the book, but they can't keep it toward the book because the book's about Vietnam. So if they took it place,
Well,
took it back in.
they updated it. Just like if you updated Rambo, you probably wouldn't say, Vietnam
Well,
anymore.
you
You'd
know what,
have
and
to.
I kind of had a Rambo vibes a little bit. Like not really. I mean, it wasn't a Rambo movie, but it was like
I
he's
can I can
our
yeah,
newest Rambo, you know.
I can see that because he's you know uh, um on the run for something that he didn't do, and
Hmm.
the police and everybody is after him. So, which is like First Blood. So there is that stuff in there.
And then
But
he much knows all about the bombs and how to, because he's a military guy, he knows how to do all these, things that, like, and so that was pretty cool, seeing him be able to do all that.
yeah, in the documentary, the writer talks about how he did like hundreds of hours of research, and then he went to hospitals and he talked to military people, and so he tried to get it like in the scene where Mark Wahlberg is going to shoot the can of like stew, that everything that's in there would be there. So it's like that's what you would do, that you have like your little book and it has all of the times that gun was fired, that's all of that is correct. And so they tried to make it as authentic as possible. They did have a sniper consultant, where the
Mm.
director and Mark Wahlberg went and actually learned how to become snipers, and he was throughout the movie consulting. The guy said that the one thing that he understood, because it's a movie, and so he goes, I accept that, is when the bullet hits at the assassination, how it hits the representative from like Africa, and you just see the back of his head kind of blow out. He said that type of bullet, and what was going on would have like exploded his head and his entire body, like his arms and legs would have gone like 200 feet.
But did they
That's
think
how.
like people wouldn't buy that as realistic?
I mean, he didn't say that. He just said, I understand it's a movie, so you got to tone it down. So
Okay.
instead, they compromised and did the big kind of
Once
rosy
again,
flower like out of the back of his
I
head.
know. I think people wouldn't have bought that, because there's a great line in Entourage where one of the guys says even the truth sometimes seems fake.
Produced by
You know,
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg produced, but he said even the truth sometimes seems fake. And I love that line because that's so true. Like you know what I mean? Like when you look at a movie or something and it's like based on a true story, the true stuff that actually happened, people are like, nah, that never happened. But shit happens all the time that's a little crazy and not, you know, like, and if you want to be truthful to whatever, but also if you just want to be a movie, you just fix it up to make it look like a movie because this isn't based on a real life experience. They just wanted to have real life advisor or people, advisors on set to make sure.
Well, I mean, like I said, the writer debates this on a real guy, a real incident of his partner being killed, that his disillusionment with America. But yeah, he was never set up to, as somebody was going to assassinate the president. That's all fake, but it is based on a real person. I guess there was like an article written about this guy, and it's I mean, born on the 4th of July and all that type of stuff. You think you're going to go fight for something, and then when you come back, you realize how screwed up it all is, and so then you
Hmm.
become against it instead of for it.
Right.
That's another one that's based on a true story. But I did watch Mark Wahlberg in Lone Survivor, which is Peter Berg, and hearing what in the behind the scenes they were talking about, to me, looking it up, the real stuff, you realize that when you watch something that's based on a true story, there's what happened, there's then the person's account of what happened, there's the people who then went and like studied it, like the cops or what military or whatever it is, then there's the book, and then there's like the movie, and none of it's real except for what really happened, which we will never find out. So when you look at something like the Amityville Horror, it's at, there's the different levels: the movie, the book, what happened. You got to take it that none of this we'll never know the full truth of what happened in a lot of these
Well,
things. So
there's that very famous line of like, uh, was it my it's there's my version, there's your version, and there's the truth, you know?
yeah,
And the truth is usually kind of a mixture of my version and your version, of everything. And I think that's so true because uh we all see things differently, you know? So,
yeah, it's
and
all
you're
perspective.
it's all perspective. And we all, looking at it through different eyes and different brains and different hearts, we'll see it all specifically different. And, but the truth is there, like whatever happened, happened, or whatever. So I get
Well,
that.
I mentioned to a friend of mine about like the Beatles, when if Paul McCartney is the only one left alive, like let's say Ringo passes and Paul's the only one left alive, he can say anything he wants. And because pretty much everybody for that time is dead. So it's producers, managers, they're all gone. So if Paul wants to say, "Oh yeah, I wrote every single Beatles song and I just put John Lennon's name on it," just to give him some money, I guess that then becomes the truth because
Unless he's unless he's in a
you know,
retirement home by then and like, and they're like, "Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice, Paul.
that's nice,
Keep
Paul. That's
dreaming,
nice. That's
about
nice.
like, like, but I did write all the songs. Nobody listens to me."
Yeah, so it's interesting because even something like Shooter, I think, can be based on some sort of truth that we still don't know what happened to JFK. We
Right.
have no idea. There's like 3 to 4 different conspiracy theories out there. We'll never know. So in the case of the movie for Shooter, it's one of those things where how much truth is actually based in what was done. I mean, we know Oswald was framed, allegedly framed.
Well,
We
I think don't they bring it up in Shooter about JFK because like they say something like we have another Oswald thing or something because the guy gets the what is it, the cop gets shot or whatever, right? Gets killed, and
yeah,
everything.
Michael Pina.
Peanut, yeah.
He's a to let people know he plays a guy that's like fresh out of the academy, and he's in the FBI, and nobody believes him. He starts unraveling everything, and he does mention Ruby, and so the cop who was supposed to kill Wahlberg's character, uh um the cop gets is killed the next day in an alley,
Mhm.
and and that's when Michael Pena says, yeah, Jack Ruby kills Oswald and then mysteriously dies from like a disease in prison.
Right.
And the thing with Ruby was they were supposed to let him out. He wasn't supposed to stay in prison. So it's there's a movie about Ruby. Danny Aiello plays Ruby, and I've heard that's
Nice.
just like a whole bunch of fiction. But that he's like a dedicated American patriot who loves his country, and so but that's not the case. Is that he was basically told to go kill Oswald, so Oswald wouldn't talk. So it's and that's was is what was supposed to happen in Shooter is the cop was meant to be Jack Ruby, and Mark Wahlberg's character, who I think has like an odd last name. Um, it's Swagger, Bob Lee Swagger.
Swagger. Yeah. Was his name like that in the book, I wonder? Was it Swagger? Because I know it was Bob Lee, but I don't know if it was Swagger. I
Um,
think it was like just they called him like Bob Lee, the something or other. Like he had some kind of
well, they called him oh fuck, it's Gunny,
yeah, well
but I think
that
that
was his like nickname or whatever. And
yeah,
that's a
but his
military
name is
nickname.
it's yeah, Bob Lee Swagger is his name.
Yeah, that's a military nickname for a gunnery sergeant, you know. So,
So, but
yeah.
he's supposed to be the Oswald character, but in this case, he's escaped because they don't in it's weird because in the TV show, and I know you watched the first episode and I watched the first two, it is amazing of the changes that they make. And I don't know if it's closer to the book, but it's weird of just watching the movie and then watching two episodes where now Bob Swagger has a wife and a kid when he did it in the movie. And
I don't think
I
he had
think
one in
it's
the book either.
yeah, that
'Cause
I don't really know anything about the
I looked
book.
up the book a little bit, like the plot, and it just sounded like the a similar story set in Vietnam, except I don't think there was a the Donnie character, which uh funny enough, Mark Wahlberg's brother is named Donnie Wahlberg, and what's so weird is at one point Donnie gets killed and act, while they're in Ethiopia doing a killing, they're killing off these
Well, the
uh
TV show is Ethiopia.
I think the movie's Ethiopia too. I believe it was Ethiopia. Um so they were in Ethiopia and I remember that because I was like, whoa, that's not a very common place to have
Oh yeah, yeah,
usually it's
it
like
is Ethiopia.
Iraq
Yeah.
or someplace, in the Middle East, but having it be in Africa, it's a little weirder. But anyways, Ethiopia, they're shooting all these people, and at one point, Donnie gets killed, and as he gets killed, you hear Mark Wahlberg going, Donnie,
Well,
and
yeah, because it's I mean, you make it sound like it's like they're just killing people. It's they're protecting their team from like point A to point B,
yeah.
and then they kill these Ethiopian soldiers that want to kill them.
Well, they
They're
weren't
both
planning so many people coming
they
or
weren't well
whatever.
yeah they were only planning I think that one truck with the driver and the gunner, and they took care of them, and then behind them ended up being like, yeah, like 10 or
And
so
then the
other people, other soldiers.
the other group that was kind of like the sergeant, the captain or lieutenant or whoever he was, that was like in his like little, I don't know if he was in a tent or something, but he was, they were like the ones who do take, taking calm, like they're communicating with with the snipers. They turn their comm off. They turn off their communications because they're like, oh well, he says something like he'll make it out alive. They'll be fine.
Well, the
You know.
what we find out later is that they were never supposed to survive what, you know, doing what they were doing as snipers. They were both supposed to die because they weren't supposed to be there.
Right.
So it was like an undercover type of thing, and the guy that's there is obviously a government person because he's in a suit. So he tells, yeah, the tent with all the military guys in it, you know, we're out of here. They can find they're good soldiers. They can find their way home. And then Donnie, who in the subtitles for the movie is spelled IE, like his brother, but in the TV show it's with a Y, because
I
there's a
saw
thing
that.
with his wall, and so it's spelled differently. But yeah, so he was never supposed to survive it. And then in the movie, he's living like on this top of this mountain. He's kind of like a recluse, and he's got the conspiracy stuff around him like 9/11, and he even says, let's see what lies they're going to give us today. And he's got the dog Sam, and I forget if this is in the first episode of the show or not. It might be in the second. But the lawyer, so they, how do you say it, they swapped a dog into a person.
What?
So Swagger's lawyer is named Sam.
Really?
Swagger's dog in the movie is Sam.
That is weird.
So and he's like an old friend of the family. They do a lot of swapping. Like Omar Epps
Is like a
is
captain too, because like the other guy was like a lieutenant, but this was like Danny Glover in I think it was Danny Glover, right? Yeah, it was Danny Glover,
Danny
and
Glover.
in
Yeah,
Shooter was in the movie was a lieutenant, and he didn't know, he didn't know Bob Lee Swagger. They never met. So they have like the cool like little exchange. In the TV show, it's Omar Epps and he's a captain, and he's like he was in, he was in war with him or whatever. They knew each other personally.
they were friends. Yeah, he says
Yeah.
that he served with him for 3 years, and that they were friends. And Omar Epps is that character is pretty much just says like no, 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 we weren't. But it's they didn't swap on that. Um, but the his friend in like you the friend in the movie who gets killed at the beginning is a white guy, and then in the TV show they swap him out for a black guy, and then Swagger in the movie goes to his friend's widow's house. Okay, Kate Morrow. I want to bring this up. I don't. I'm not getting this. I don't know if this is intentional or not. One, I think she's gorgeous in the movie, and I know this is probably going to be, not PC, but and I've seen this, and I think it's Doom, the Dwayne Johnson Doom does the same type of thing. So she's in a white shirt that looks thick. You could see her areolas and her nipples and everything. I'm like, was this intentional? Like, it's her robe is fully open and you just fully see her boobs through this thick shirt. And then when she's kind of being tortured, she's just in a bra, in like a black bra with her jeans on.
Was that
And it's
like the
like,
closest they could get to nudity for her?
maybe I thought it was just like, okay, like that's kind of weird. And then in the movie with her, when they're at the house and they get close after he's been there for a few days, they kind of snuggle and stuff. Like they go to hug and they kind of snuggle, and then it cuts away to them in a truck. And I'm like, okay, did they have sex? Did they not have sex? I'm hoping they didn't, because then it'd be like Swagger would have respect for his friend. She has
I
respect for her
don't know,
husband, who
man,
she
because
still loves. But I watched the trailer. Oh yeah, they definitely have sex. In the trailer,
okay,
there's a few things that are missing. There's two shots of them really making out.
okay.
And I'm glad, but I didn't want them to. I didn't want this to be, okay, now they hook up. You know, I
I
just,
had a feeling
I
like they were going to. Like there was
yeah,
at one point they're like this close to each other. Like I knew they were gonna eventually get it
that's
on.
what I'm talking about. And I get that there's something there between them, but I didn't want it to happen because I didn't want it to be a cliche. And then they kind of snuggle, and then he kind of pulls away from her face, and it cuts to them in the truck. And I'm like, okay, maybe they didn't have sex. And then the trailer's on the Blu-ray, and you get two shots of them like really going at it, making out. And I'm like, fuck, okay, so they originally did. So now I don't know, is the cutaway like we're supposed to assume they had sex? So I don't know. I didn't like that. And then there's stuff in the trailer where it's like, where would this have been? Or maybe I've heard about this with like this the first remake of Black Christmas, where they just shot stuff for the trailer that's not in the movie.
Yeah, maybe.
In this, in the trailer, well, not the makeout stuff. I think they did hook up, but they cut it. And so it's up to the viewer to decide if they hooked up or not, which is fine. But there's a scene, and you see a guy on like an airport strip, like the landing strip. A plane
Landing
is
strip.
flying up, huh?
That's what they call a shaved vagina. A landing strip. Come on. It was funny
Are
because
we
you were
going
talking
there?
about areolas a second ago. Come on.
All right, I'll give you
All
that. Okay, good.
right.
Okay, okay, yes, okay.
Bringing it back to that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Whatever. Go
Okay,
ahead. Continue.
but that is a landing strip. It's actually the best way to do that is with a landing strip. But in the movie, there you see the guy, and he clicks a button, and right above him, a plane blows up. Where was that in the movie? And where would that have been in the movie?
Oh,
So it's weird because they make the trailers before the film is completed. So they have all this footage, and they put it in.
maybe they, I mean, did you check the deleted scenes?
Yes, there are deleted scenes, and uh them hooking up are not in the deleted scenes, but there's additional stuff with the daughter. Yeah, there's 7 deleted scenes. There's also a whole featurette on Independence
Wait.
Hall.
What daughter? Whose daughter?
Oh, I'm sorry, not the daughter.
The girl,
See,
the,
now I'm getting the TV show, the movie confused, not the daughter. The 7 deleted scenes. Oh fuck, I can't even think of what they are. That's what I get for watching these things so close to one another. Um,
oh, just think about it. I watched 3 movies yesterday, back to back to back, pretty much. So I'm like, oh shit, am I talking about this or the other 2 other fucking flicks I watched? Yeah. Thankfully,
um,
none of them are similar. So,
uh, oh, I look because I'm looking on YouTube to see if they bring up the deleted scenes. Yeah, here they are here. I do love the device that they were actually gonna have Michael Pina like commit suicide with.
what? Oh,
That the
that device
Yeah,
that
and the
has like,
guy's like, it isn't the first time we've used it, so it kind of like forces them to shoot themselves. I like
yeah.
that. I thought that was kind of cool.
I like that. Well, I thought it was weird that those guys were all getting killed or whatever, like one by one. The bad guys, and then he shows up, and the guy's like, "Are you gonna kill me?" And I'm like, "Motherfucker, you just saved your life from all these bad guys. Of course he's not gonna kill you, idiot. Like,
No,
why
because
would
he
he
killed
even,
every
why would he do that, then killed him? Like, what would be the point?
because then he would go up and kill him too.
Why?
Okay.
Like why? Like why kill him too?
because he's part of it.
I guess yeah, well, maybe, but like I guess he didn't
I'm
he would
sorry
I mean
if you're sitting there with a device with a gun that's pointed at your head and you just saw three guys around you get killed by a masked gunman, you're probably going to assume that you're going to get killed too.
maybe like you're kind of stuck in the crosshairs of this whole thing. I guess I can understand that, but I my first thought would probably be thank you for saving my life. Um, what are you gonna do with me? Maybe, or whatever. But like, or I guess him basically thinking the guy's gonna kill him isn't a bad thing. Isn't written badly or anything.
So one of the deleted scenes is with Michael Pena, and he has to go get paperwork for the NFG, and he goes to the chick that he's kind of working with, who is in Underworld: Rise of the
I saw
Lycans,
that. Yeah.
and she's also in Doomsday. And to go back to Michael Bay, she's in the first season of The Last Ship. Um, and he goes to her and says, "I need the paperwork for the NFG." And she laughs at him, and people are kind of laughing, and that's just new fucking guy is what it means. Tate Donovan
Uh,
sends him and just kind of embarrasses him, and she's gone through this many many times, so I could see why they deleted that.
I like that they
Um,
mentioned because okay, so I've been watching like FBI and the FBI TV shows or whatever, and they always say like what they call it there's like assistant director of so ADOC or something, and they call her that, or whatever. They call her I guess she's the assistant director of whatever.
Wait, who?
The chick. She's actually a high person because she mentions that, I believe. She's actually higher than
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Are you talking about the TV shows you
no,
watch, or are you talking about
I'm
this?
talking about this movie. The
Okay.
reason I was saying that was because they use that term, and so now being watching those TV shows, I'm more familiar with the FBI terms, that I was not aware of before. Like I had no idea what the I still don't know what the uh what is it called? Because they have it for all the FBI. Um,
Well, in the credits, it's Rona Mitra is her name, and she it just says FBI special agent.
okay, so she's not the special agent in charge then, or director, and
No,
I thought she was. I thought she was a special agent in charge. This kind of makes me sad now. I guess she was
I
just a
mean
special
that's
agent.
just what's listed on Wikipedia. I mean, she might have an actual different title in the movie, but the one deleted scene though, that's interesting is we do see the cop that was supposed to kill
Hmm.
Mark Wahlberg's character. We only see that in like quick flashbacks. There's the whole scene is in deleted scenes. So he
Right.
walks out of a bar, he's all drunk, and then a guy comes up and shoots him a few times, and then he gets in a car, and we see who's sitting in the car is Elias Cotes. Is that how you say his name?
Elias
Elias Cotes?
Cotius.
Cotes? Yeah, it's him.
Um, Casey Jones, man.
Yeah.
That's how I know him. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, baby. You know.
Then
That
there's another scene with Mark Wahlberg and Kate, where they're giving us information we already know. So maybe that's why this was cut. There's a very extended scene of Wahlberg and Michael Pia buying all the equipment that they need. Like they actually go to like a gun store inside the mall,
nice.
and so it's very extended with them buying the product and all that. So I'm actually kind of glad they cut that down. because it just isn't really necessary. Like they even go to pay for it. We don't need to see that. There's a weird scene that's only like 30 seconds long where Michael and Wahlberg are talking about cars. It's really kind of strange. Um, there's another scene missing where Wahlberg and Michael Pena are they're talking about how it's Michael Pena's like first kill. I guess this is after the farm. Um, there's a scene of them in like a hotel and they're cleaning all the guns and doing some dialogue. Like mostly all of this was fine to cut. I do like the scene of the cop being shot
Mm.
because it does kind of show like an Oswald type of thing, and Ruby. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that. So oh, and they got Kate Mara in her bra when she's got the shotgun and she shoots the guy in her bedroom, which I
Yeah.
liked, and he like flies against the wall with a big blood splat. Um
But they have that
and
because like that's when she gets kidnapped by Elias Cotius or whatever.
Cotillas. I
And
do like
he
that she blows the shit out of him at the end.
yeah,
That
she
was
gets
nice.
the yeah.
And he gets his fingers first blown off from Wahlberg's character, and
Ah,
then the arm blown off too, which was really nice. But he was definitely a scumbag. So
so
I like that she put the final bullets in him.
they shot what's his name? They shot at the end. I'm gonna skip to the end real quick, but because you did a little bit, with the him getting his hand shot up, but they shot Michael Pena, right? Like when he was walking, and everything. They shot him, and then he gets right back up. Did he have a bulletproof vest?
He drops it. It's not actually a vest. It goes back to, I think it's A Fistful of Dollars, which they watch in Back to the Future Part 2, and then they use it in Part 3, where it's like the piece of metal that's strapped to him,
Okay.
and then he gets shot, and then when he gets down to them, he's on his knees and he's like, "Fuck, that hurt." And he undoes his coat and he just drops this like big
Okay.
square
I
piece of metal.
I didn't see it was metal. I thought it was a bulletproof vest.
No,
But
because he'd have to actually take off the vest. I don't think
yeah,
it was a vest. I think it was
you're right.
something
You're right.
else.
You're right. But anyway,
Yeah, I
he
don't, which is
yeah.
weird. I don't know why it wasn't a vest. I don't know
Well, they
why.
probably didn't have. They had to do a makeshift vest at that time because they didn't have one. I mean, remember they're sort of, I mean, on the run. Like they couldn't really go to a store and just pick up a bulletproof vest, or something, like that just doesn't happen. So they had to make with what they did. That's why I was so very confused. I was like, wait a minute, he just got back up like nothing happened at first. You're right. And then he was like,
Yeah, it's
oh
a
fuck,
good
that
thing the
hurt. And I
good
was
thing the
like,
sniper didn't aim up.
um, that's true. Thank God I didn't shoot him in the head. There's that great line in Dumb and Dumber where the guy got shot, where Jim Carrey gets shot, and he was like, "Oh, blah 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 blah," and he was like, "Well, thank God he didn't shoot you in the head." And he goes, "Oh my God, yeah, thank God he didn't shoot me in the head." Like, or no. He goes to the cops. He said, "Well, what if they just shot him in the head?" And he goes, "Yeah." What if they had shot me in the head? And like, well, that was a risk we were willing to take.
There you go.
That's the FBI for you. Like you were a risk they were willing to take.
Pretty much. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I real quick, I do want to talk real quick about go back to your conspiracy stuff and everything because I fucking loved all that stuff. I always love movies where you hear like the idea that the government is in control of everything and then when somebody act but they can't tell you that. They can't come right out and when the president is coming right out and saying that stuff, the president has to be killed, be taken care of because, and then they also had to kill off the I guess the Ethiopian prime minister or something, the guy that was there with the president because, he knew too much. Like there was too much
well,
information
they
out there.
they said that the president was never the target. It was
Right.
the Ethiopian guy because I think he was going to tell them about
The
Danny
bodies.
Glover and Ned Beatty, yeah, being involved in those 400 bodies from that village that they killed and then buried to put a pipeline through.
I just like and this goes to like you're right that they wanted to kill off Mark Wahlberg's character because he was already supposed to be dead. So they're like two birds, one stone. Let's frame this guy and then kill him, and then we can basically get then nobody will ever know any of this stuff's happening, and we kill off the Ethiopian guy at the same time. Then it's perfect, then everybody like all of the stuff's tied up.
But why even if he's living off the grid per se? Because I
Right.
mean, he's
He's
hooked up to
exiled, is
computers
what
and
I heard.
everything. Then why even bother doing that? Why not just let him live off the grid?
Because
He's not
he's
he's not doing
still,
anything.
and or why don't you just shoot him at his house?
Nobody would know.
Right. Nobody would care.
Well, I mean, I guess you have to have the patsy for the assassination, but as far as just getting rid of him before any of that, yeah, why not just go up and kill him?
I hated hearing that they killed the dog because,
Dude,
like,
this is another movie that shows do not kill a man's dog. This started before John Wick, but it got big with John Wick. And it's like, do not kill a man's dog. You could wipe
well,
out his family, you could blow up his house, you could blow up his car.
he's
Do not kill his dog because
look,
he will come back to you.
he didn't he played so weirdly there because like they were like, oh, Ralphie's dead, and he was like, I don't know who Ralphie is, and then he was like, your dog, and they're like, oh, my dog's name is Max or something, or
Sam,
whatever. Sam. He's like, my name's Doug Sam, and like, oh yeah, well they killed the dog because they figured you weren't, you were already dead, so we didn't
no,
they
no,
didn't.
no, 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 that's not right. It's she tells him that Ralphie is dead because and what they leaked to the press was he shot his dog Ralphie because he knew he wouldn't be coming back.
That's right. Okay, that was right. So
And then he's like, my dog's name is Sam. I had him since he was a pup. He's a great dog. And then he brings it up again later. They killed my dog. And that's where it's just like it's John Wick. You
yeah.
don't kill a man's dog. And so the dog was just like used as just a prop to tell the public that yeah, he even killed his dog because he knew that he would probably be
So that way
murdered.
and that goes to a good point is like we can't always believe the press because the press is getting misinformation, so like even so far as like CNN or Fox News or any of these big time news companies, they're getting misinformation most of the time because the people that are telling them this are not necessarily the people that are telling the truth, about
Well,
whatever.
and that was the thing with JFK is all of this stuff came out only like half an hour after his assassination. Like all
Yeah.
this stuff, like Oswald's picture was already out, and it was like because this was all planned. I tend to think our government did it, but that's one of the three uh conspiracies with that. The other
I
one,
mean,
you know.
nowadays I would say like because like okay, look at Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think he killed himself. I just don't. I don't know who did,
Oh no! Oh no! No
but
no! Oh no!
I don't know who did, but I'm having to think it's got to be somebody didn't want information out there.
Yeah, because he has the little black book that has everybody's name in it.
Yeah.
And now that he's dead, suicide or not, you can't even believe the black book because one of the names they listed was Whoopi Goldberg. And Whoopi Goldberg's like, what? How did I get brought into this? And it's like,
Remember when that dude on I forgot what podcast or whatever brought up freaking Jimmy Kimmel and it was a lie. He wasn't even on the list. And people are just
yeah,
saying
it's just
like
because he doesn't like Trump. So you can't. So even if they go, oh yeah, well here's the full list of people that are in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book, you can't trust it.
Right.
You know, because those. I mean, I wouldn't even if they even said Trump was on there, I wouldn't even trust it.
I
And
wouldn't
I don't like
trust it.
Trump.
I wouldn't trust it, and but I would trust it if it were Hillary Clinton. Just saying. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Because I don't. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Wow.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't know.
I mean,
But
it's been known that Bill Clinton has gone to
yes,
the island.
that's
That they
true.
know. But to go back to Epstein's suicide, it's in episode 2 that they do something similar. Is so I'll just call him the shooter because I keep forgetting his name. Swagger. Swagger is in prison, which is not in the movie. So the assassination happens. He gets caught by the race swapped, gender swapped Memphis.
And was her race
And
swapped? I thought it was the same race.
no, because Michael P is right behind you. He's Hispanic.
Yeah, but what is the girl?
The
The
the girl that's in the
FBI.
TV show is black.
Hold on. I mean, you might be right. You might absolutely be
Oh,
right.
that I know.
I
I'm
just
100% correct. So she captures him. They put him in prison, and then they set up this whole thing with the cameras and one of the prisoners to go in and kill Swagger. Like there's a one of the guards that's working for Omar Epps is he puts in a thumb drive that makes all the security cameras look at like fake footage, just like a regular day. And then that guard goes down and takes out, he talks to one of the inmates that wants to kill Swagger. And um they make a deal money wise because there's a price on the guy's head, on Swagger's head. And then he just lets Swagger, he brings him in the Swagger's jail cell to kill him. And he doesn't. Swagger escapes and stuff like that. So that he's on the run again. But
I don't like
it's
that, honestly. I think that's just un like unneeded, Like why not keep it with the script of the original story and not have him
because
go
you
to
got to expand it because then it's only 2 hours. You got to make 10
right, but no, but
episodes.
like uh, The Fugitive, as you brought up before, is a show really where the dude's hiding out, most of the time, and that's how it could be, like where it could be just another
Well, that's
fugitive.
what this probably ends up being. I mean, it's 3 seasons, so you
Yeah.
gotta, and
I thought it was going to go a different way, and I was kind of excited, thinking it was going to go a different way, where it was a sequel to the first movie, where it was more along the lines of like a procedural, where he's going around killing off the people who uh the bad people who are out there, like he's a sniper, so he's just shooting bad people who
well, who knows
are
what happens in future episodes? I mean, they're going to follow the movie or the book, and at some point, they know he's innocent.
all right.
So who knows? Maybe they do
Maybe the
hire him
first
to
season,
go
yeah.
do that. But
That I
like
would
it,
be down with.
I mean, if you've seen the TV series, for From Dusk Till Dawn, the first season is just the movie expanded.
That's what I'm that's what I'm thinking maybe it is. Like the first season is just the first movie in 10 episodes or whatever it is. It might be more than that. Because it's
I mean,
USA.
how many times can he get framed for something? So season 2 has to be something else. So season 1 would be him running, and then the final episode, he, confronts Omar Epps, and Omar Epps is guilty and maybe killed, and he's free.
Well, at the
So
end of this movie, uh he like Danny Glover almost gets away with it pretty much. I mean, he does get away with it, and
yeah, twice he
yep,
tells him.
yep. And then he says, what is like the who is it? The whoever the guy that was there that was in charge of the FBI or whatever says
He's the DA, he's the district
oh,
attorney.
district attorney's like, I wish I could do something, I wish we could do something, but we can't. Like it's sometimes justice isn't doesn't prevail
Well,
and stuff.
I don't think you're saying it correctly, but it's not correctly. It's yeah, there's not much we can do about it, but maybe somebody could,
Yeah, he was kind of
you
hinting,
know.
giving him hints that if he wanted to take it in his own hands,
Yeah, be
go feel
awful
free.
if they died tomorrow type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah, and which I
that's
liked. I dug that. And then so of course he does. He goes and takes care of both the senator, played wonderfully by Beatty. Love him. Always love. Every time Ned
Ned Beatty
Beatty's
is awesome.
like every time he's on any TV show or movie, I just get really fucking excited. I just love him. And then and Danny, both of them together, that's just a powerhouse, man. Like that to me would be a dream, to have two people of that caliber together at a scene and watch them. Because you don't have to really tell them you don't have to go up there and say, Ned, can you say this a little bit, differently, blah blah blah. Because he's just gonna give you the best performance that you're probably gonna get, you know?
Well, he's been around enough. He knows what a corrupt politician is, and you're
Right.
most likely not going to be in a movie like this if you're on the other side of the aisle, because it's knowing the people, knowing all of these people that have all worked together, and that's like a Peter Berg or a Michael Bay or a Mark Wahlberg. They appear to have the same uh, uh, political views, and most likely Ned Beatty does too. And so I'm guessing Danny Glover does, because if like Donald and I uh watched all the Lethal Weapon movies, and part two is all about apartheid. So it's and so Danny Glover is most likely also a Democrat. So it's,
Mhm.
which I felt was weird in the TV series, is Omar Epps, when he goes over to Swagger's place, he looks around and sees all the guns and stuff and goes, "Oh, you're still a bleeding heart liberal, huh?" Which I know is a joke because it's all the guns, but it's he is supposed to be a Democrat. And there are, in the first episode alone, three mentions of religion, of Christianity. And then in the second one, there's at least two. And Mark Wahlberg is a Catholic, very devout Catholic. So I thought it was weird of just how much religion is brought into this. And you even had in both the TV show and the movie, when Danny Glover or Omar Epps goes up to Swagger and says, you know, you don't like the president? And he goes, "No, I don't like the president. Didn't like the one even before him." So it's in one, I think the TV show, I think he says something about a bully. And I'm guessing maybe that was aimed at Trump.
So there was a which is funny because 2007 was when Shooter was done. That was during, I believe, that wasn't Obama, was it? Or was it
Yeah,
Obama?
because Trump was 2016.
Well, but 2007 was either Obama or George Bush presidency.
Um, so well, 2016, so you just go 4 years back. Well, actually, it'd be 8 years back for
8 years
Obama.
back for Obama, so it'd be 2008, right? 2008 was Obama. If it was 8 years back.
Yeah, so I
So it
think
was George Bush was president, George W, I think, if I'm correct.
yeah, I think that you're correct on that. And
And
it's
so it's interesting to have like a Republican president at that time, and they're kind of making a movie that seemed very conservative, a little bit, like with even though it wasn't, it did seem like it could have been that way or whatever. Real quick, there's a what is it, review of the first episode of the TV show, and it says Hollywood's firearms. This is a fairly decent expansion on the Mark Wahlberg movie of the same name. Everything is competent and enjoyable, though, particularly the casting. But, they say but in capital letters. In the opening pre-credit scene, our titular shooter describes the Remington .223 as a squirrel round. What? At this point, you know exactly what you're getting. A production by people who know absolutely nothing about firearms. People who are proud of knowing nothing about firearms, which works out well enough for them until they Alec Baldwin and innocent. So no, no, we're not letting that one slide. Lives are on the lines. That was what they
Okay.
said. Um,
So I know nothing about guns, and but I did enjoy that opening scene. I with with him taking down the two guys hunting wolves.
yeah, well, I
So
like the
I
hunting wolves bit because I thought at first I was like, if you make this person like a wolf hunter or something, I'm gonna be really upset because that wasn't what he was in the original, in the movie, right? He was an animal
well,
hunter,
and they fake you because there's also a deer. And
right?
he's there with the gun, and you're thinking, and I kept going, please don't shoot the deer. And then the deer just kind of walks past him.
Well, was he
And
hunting? Because she said something to him about him hunting
no, I my thought is he was out stopping guys,
from hunting.
assholes,
Yeah,
from hunting wolves when they're not supposed to. And so that was his thing of releasing the wolves from the traps. And why he makes the comment, where like, oh, what are you, like an orthodontist or something? Or, just like some like just
no, he said a
regular Joe
dentist, and he said, "Oh, an orthodontist."
orthodontist or something like that. Yeah. And it's, you get these tough guy weekend warriors that go up there and take over the government and into the world, and they're really just like a school teacher,
Yeah. Um,
and it's like a total joke. So I did enjoy that, but then when they got to dinner and all of a sudden the daughter is saying grace, I went, oh, I'm like, how religiously are we going to get into this?
well, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of military people are sort of conservative or religious because of their military background. Uh, I
They
think
are,
I might
but
have mentioned
others did it too.
I
So
might have mentioned this before, but I for summer school I had to go to Fork Union Military Academy, and at Fork Union for stupid summer school, and it wasn't like all year round summer military academy where it's really they treat you like you're in the military. You have to wear a uniform, you have to make your bed, you have to, do all that. We didn't have to do that. We showed up, whatever, but those things like you learn real quick, in those those things like they make you go to church. They tell you have to pray. They say you have to pray every night, before you go to bed. Things like that where they're forcing religion to people who may not be religious, which I'm religious, so it doesn't bother me, but like other people weren't that were around me, and stuff, and they hated it, and stuff that made them,
yeah,
uncomfortable.
I don't like it. I mean, I get people at work to me always say, God bless and stuff. And I know it's said with good intentions, even though I don't think it should
Thoughts
be
and
said.
prayers, baby. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers do so fucking much. Let's wait till like somebody in your family gets cancer, and
Yeah,
I'll just
but
go,
like,
well, thoughts and prayers, because it does. Oh, really? 20 kids got massacred in a school. Thoughts and prayers. We don't do
well,
anything
I mean,
about
no,
gun
it doesn't.
control.
Well,
Thoughts
yeah,
and prayers.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't do something about gun control, but I'm not saying that saying thoughts and prayer isn't a nice thing to do and say.
It's a
It's just,
meaningless thing to say. It's an empty thing to say. It doesn't mean anything
but
because
so is
it
saying
doesn't.
you're sorry for somebody's loss. It's meaningless. What do like, see what I'm saying? Like, if you just said, I'm
No,
sorry for your
because
loss, it
no,
doesn't.
I'm gonna disagree with that, because I normally don't do it for a person, but if somebody says their dog died, I say sorry for your loss, because you're sorry that they lost their pet.
But then you're
Thoughts
saying,
thoughts and prayers are you're praying to something that doesn't exist. You're praying to something that can't help you. You're not, oh well, my thoughts and prayers for you. It's like that stupid saying, um, things happen for a reason. So a friend of mine said that not long ago. Things happen for a reason. And I went, really? Tell the Jews that.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's like,
true.
oh, we're going to go there, huh? And I'm like, yeah, we are going to go there because things don't happen for a reason. They don't.
No, they don't
And
because everybody has free will to do whatever the fuck they want.
things
You know.
happen for a reason. Okay, we'll say that about the slaves. Well, things happen for a reason. We'll say that about the Japanese that were in internment camps, in
Yeah.
America.
I mean,
So
I get it.
it's so I don't, but I didn't mind so much in the show that they were doing the prayer at the beginning. That's fine. But then in the second episode where he goes to visit the friend that died, the one who got shot, the Swagger's passed out, and when he wakes up, the mom is there reading the Bible,
Hmm.
and I'm like, really? She just can't be reading like a romance novel or
Which is
something.
weird because I'm pretty sure this wasn't made by religious people. So what was the is that thrown in there because that's who these people were surrounded with or something or
I don't know, because if you look at the credits for the TV show are all the same ones that are on like Entourage.
hmm?
Like it's that like Levin, Mark Wahlberg, and then one of the producers on this is that Antoine Fuqua. He's listed as a producer, and it does say based on the book. So it's like the regular Mark Wahlberg producing people,
Hmm. That's
which is the same
interesting.
thing with Ballers.
Steven Levinson. Yeah, okay.
It's Stephen Levinson, yeah.
So yeah, well I guess he's Mark Wahlberg's buddy because he's a producer of Father Stew, which Mark Wahlberg was in. I think Infinite was Mark Wahlberg in that one too. That was yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, so he works with Mark. Yeah, he even produced that TV show Wall Street, which was the Wahlbergs, show or whatever.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, what is it, like WAHL Street, like
Street, yeah.
Wall Street?
I kind
Yeah,
of want to see it's on HBO
I
Max.
actually want to see it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched the trailer for it. I thought, okay.
It's a day in the life of those guys, and so it's like the real life documentary of the entourage, which is kind of cool.
So who do you think is a better actor, Donnie or Mark?
Um, they're both different, honestly. I like them both.
Which
I
one
mean,
would you prefer if you had to pick
Mark,
between two
Mark,
movies? Mark, okay.
yeah. I just like I don't know what it is. Mark always plays better, like nicer characters. And I just always like seeing Mark. Donnie, I haven't really seen him play a character where he's like a nice guy. Generally he plays like assholes, and stuff. Or
Cops and things. He normally
yeah,
plays the.
cops, or he plays yeah, like remember we did Dead Silence and he was the cop in Dead Silence and everything. So
But it was also in Sixth Sense. He was that guy at the very beginning.
yeah, he was the
He
guy
was
that
like
we
really
find out.
thin.
Yeah, we find out, I guess he was a ghost or something or whatever, right? Or something, I think, or whatever. I
No, I
thought,
think that was real because I think his wife was there and that the guy kills himself.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
With Mark Wahlberg, my thing with him is that he started off with like Boogie Nights. Well, he was like the nice, sweet, innocent guy.
Well,
And
that
then
was his
like
like
the
first starring role, but he was
but
started
that
with
he continued
basketball.
that for a while. Yeah, basketball,
Not my
the
basketball, whatever, the
no,
basketball diaries.
basketball diaries.
Yeah.
And it kind of pre Boogie Nights, he was almost playing himself.
Right. He's like jerk
So
off kind of
the
character, like
thug, druggy, jerk, and
criminal, kind of guy.
yeah, especially with like basketball diaries. And then with Boogie Nights, he was all of a sudden that kind of sweet guy next door, the innocent guy, and all that, which then he again did in The Big Hit. And then he kind of continued that. And it wasn't really, it was like Fear. He was kind of half doing that, but then he was the psychopath. but he was being
Mm-hmm.
really nice to her, and then the dad
Very
kind of
sweet until the dad stepped in and then he got
yeah
really nasty. But he
yeah
cut off a dog's head and shoved it in a fucking under the thing. So he didn't like dogs back then, you know.
man, and then his dog gets killed in this one too.
Well, no,
So
but he
it's
killed the dog in that one. So
yeah, he cut the dog's head off, which I as much as I love animals, I thought that dog head looked so fake in the theater.
I
I
know. So it
bursted
didn't
out
bother
laughing.
you. It didn't bother you, but it bothers me because even though I know that looks fake and everything like that, I always, I like, I don't want to see that kind of stuff. Like, you
I
know.
don't like seeing animals get hurt
I
on
still haven't
or
seen the
off
first
screen.
John Wick just because of that. I saw John Wick 2
Oh, that just I cried.
and
I
and
actually cried when that
yep,
little dog died in John Wick. It's
I almost
fucking it's horrible. And it's justified. You know, at the end of John Wick, when the main mob guy talks to the son who killed the dog, that's the thing that's brought up. Is the dad's like, you took his car, fine. Why did you kill his dog? And the son's like, it's just a fucking dog. And the dad's like, you don't get it. You
yeah,
don't understand.
it's
And
not
so
just a fucking dog. It's a fucking
yeah, and the
like killing a
filmmakers
child,
knew
you know.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for me, because I don't want kids, I don't like kids, I have no desire to have kids at all. My two cats are my kids, and if you hurt them, I would come after you.
Well,
You know, they're just not cats. They're not. They're my family. So it's yeah. So even hearing that they killed the dog in Shooter, that bothered me.
yeah, I didn't like
But
that
so
either.
far there's no dog in the TV series.
That's good. I mean, maybe that was another thing they wanted to make sure didn't, because I'm sure they got a little backlash from the dog, because people don't like that. I'm
Well,
sure.
but that's typical though. I
And,
mean
and plus, they didn't show it, so thank God we don't need to see it. Like hearing
no,
it, like you
just
said,
saying it
is
is bad enough.
yeah, it's bad enough, but like actually seeing it would probably piss us off.
But I think that's also another way that the Kate Mara character knew that he was telling the truth is that he's like, well, the dog's name isn't Ralphie or whatever they said. It's Sam. So
Kate
she's like, oh,
Mara,
they're Kate Mara,
yeah, Kate Mara, I think is how you
Kate
say it,
Mara,
but
Kate
are you
Mara.
sure it's Mara?
I don't know. You know these
Okay.
names better than I do.
So she was also in Entourage in a couple episodes. So I wonder if she got hired for Entourage after this movie because of Mark
So
Wahlberg's connection.
I've seen all of Entourage before, including the movie, but I don't really remember it. So I'm really enjoying it right now because I'm on the second season, and that's all the Aquaman stuff. And of course, we get James Cameron. So, you know, which is awesome because one of the things I love about James Cameron is people may say stuff about him. I don't care. He was even on like G4, that gaming show where he played himself. He
Mm-hmm.
was on like some of the episodes. So if he likes something, obviously he wants to be part of it, and he has no problem playing himself. So I'm really enjoying Entourage right now. But if you look, there is this weird Hollywood connection of I don't like of it's like ancestral almost because like Wahlberg has worked for Peter Berg and James
Peter
and
Berg's in
Michael
Entourage.
Bay. Peter
Michael Bay
Berg
is
is in
in as talked about, as well as Kevin Smith are both talked about in what is it? In
Entourage.
Entourage, but they've never
Yeah.
never been in
And
it.
then you just mentioned that Kate was in Entourage, and then all these people are oddly connected. Like they've all worked somehow with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this weird ancestral, almost 90210 type relationship with Hollywood. Because if
Mm-hmm.
if you just, you could almost do like that was it like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon with these people
Right.
that, well, Mark Wahlberg worked with Michael Bay, and then, and then he worked with Peter Berg, and then Peter Berg worked with this person, and then, and then Kate worked with this person, and then that guy, you could probably go even deeper. if you really looked into just these three people
Yeah.
alone.
You could probably do a conspiracy theory on it, like why are they working together in all these movies? Is
Well,
there,
and Peter
you know,
Berg is very close to, like filmmaking wise, is very close to Michael Bay. Like
right.
in his style, especially a Battleship looks a lot like Transformers. I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. Bayformers. I have to get my Bayisms correct. The Bay universe, Bayformers, Bayhem, not Ham, but Hem. It's Hem. So there is this whole world that all these people exist in.
Oh wait, are you
It's
saying
weird.
is that Bay Boys? Like is that the Bad Boys version is Bay Boys?
You could probably say Bay Boys, sure.
Um, and instead of the Rock, it's the Bay. And
Well, you can say the Bay because Alcatraz is in the Bay, the San
there
Francisco
you go.
Bay. So
Hey,
Michael Bay shot The Rock in the Bay.
how that's funny.
And
Um,
Peter Berg worked with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in The Rundown, and Michael Bay made a movie called The Rock.
true. And Bay Mageddon.
Baymageddon, that's one that you could do. Anything that is really outlandish and all that, you could just put Bay in front of and it works. And I think that he actually really likes it. So
Baysploitation.
Bay
Instead.
exploitation. Oh, as I'm sure Bay, yeah. So it's even this film, even Shooter, I could see Peter Berg or Michael Bay doing.
So interestingly enough, I'm glad you brought that up because there
Oh, good.
were, according to William Goldman, the very famous script doctor and writer,
Love him.
he did not write this movie or script doctor. I was trying to find a thing on him doing that, but he did mention he knows everything. He knows everything about Hollywood. Even though he says nobody knows anything. That's his very famous quote. But he said, according to the movie script doctor. It's a movie script doctor, William Goldman. Uh, Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, and Harrison Ford all passed on this movie. Don't know what Harrison Ford was going to play. He wasn't going to play the lead, right? Unless they were going to make him
No,
older.
maybe the Ned Beatty role because
He's
that's
probably he might have played the lead because if they had actually kept it to the 19 like the Vietnam stuff, he would have been that would have been perfect for him.
that
Um,
would have been, well, that was the issues with Costner's The Bodyguard and Eastwood's In the Line of Fire. That Costner was too young
oh, oh
to
yeah.
be in Vietnam, so they had to change it to the Iraq War, and then Eastwood was old enough to where he could be in Vietnam, so his character was in Vietnam.
These men would have fit the literary Bob Lee Swagger's age a bit more closely than Mark Wahlberg, born in 1971. However, author Stephen Hunter introduced Swagger as a Vietnam veteran in the 1993 novel taking place in 1992. To accommodate Wahlberg's age, this film has Swagger active in Africa in the 1990s instead of Vietnam in the 1970s. So, which I mean, both makes sense, but like I'm kind of glad they didn't do the Vietnam thing. It would have really came across as Rambo if they
But
had
you know
done
what they could, you know, oh yeah, I get to bring up Tom Cruise. So Jack Reacher, the two movies, the author does not like
that. No,
because Tom Cruise is not Jack Reacher in the book.
no.
And
My dad
and
said that too. My dad reads the Reacher books, and he hates Tom Cruise playing him. Says he's too short. He's just not Jack Reacher. He's
right.
not. Yeah.
So then they did the TV show Reacher, which I guess the guy is pretty much the book. So maybe they should have done the same thing with Shooter.
When they did the
Is
TV show, right?
yeah, it is make it more. I mean, obviously you don't. Vietnam would be way too expensive, but you could still make it modern day, but make the character closer to what the book is.
Yeah.
But it
I
did
mean,
last
I
for three
still think.
seasons, so
I still
I guess
think
it was
doing
fine.
it as a Vietnam thing would have worked. I don't know. But it just would have, you're right. It would have been all of it would have been if they did keep it to the book and it was Vietnam and then it was like 1990s or something that this movie took place, or this TV series, the book took place, then you would have to do a whole, like, you had to make it look like the 90s, the whole movie, and everything. Modern day stuff is
which is
much
way too
easier.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way easier to do because, yeah, it's way too expensive. Like, for a movie, it's not as expensive. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not as expensive as doing a TV show set in, like, period piece, or whatever, because you have to make sure like everything looks like the 90s. You can't do, but now you can do it. And I kind of like, honestly, I like having it set in um like, I like that scene with Shooter where he's with the guy, and they use like a payphone or whatever, and they call up the FBI, and they tell the FBI, or was it not as a payphone, it was a cell phone. And they call the FBI up and say, I'm here with this guy, you need to send your people, right? And then they knew that Danny Glover was listening. So Danny Glover calls them up and they're like, "Yeah, we thought that you heard that."
Well, Wahlberg calls him up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
says, "I knew you'd be listening." Yeah.
Well, no, they call
So
Wahlberg up, I guess, or whatever, and he answers the phone. But the first people, Michael Pena called the
yeah, called
FBI.
the FBI. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, and basically it's so funny because, like, even Danny Glover said that, like, we're setting up this trap. Why do they not think that he knew it was gonna be a trap? And you know what I mean? Do they think, like, if they just send a million people after him, he's gonna be able to, I think that's what reminded me a lot of Commando, is just that scene with him just shooting everybody and blowing everybody up and everything, was that scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger is going into I don't know, a mansion or whatever, and just shooting every, guard, and every, taking out everybody. That's just, I mean, it's different, but it's similar to me in my mind of that thing.
Well, the producer and the behind the scenes of this does mention that they wanted to make a like an 80s action movie, like a man's movie. That was the intention, was to make one of those types of films. And
Yeah.
so the producer was very happy with this. I mean, yeah, just that scene at the farm alone where that everybody's getting killed, and I love when like the like that tank of gas explodes and it just engulfs the helicopter, and at the same time it engulfs all those other guys that are just on fire running around. And it's I love this film. I think it's really well directed. I think it's well acted. I think it's well edited. The editor is Conrad Buff, who is freaking awesome, and he worked with Danny Glover in Backtrack, Backtrack, where Danny Glover plays a black serial killer.
Nice.
Um, Backtrack, is that what it's called? It's a great movie because it takes place on a train. So track, Backtrack, film, Danny. Uh, no, maybe no, no, no,
Mm.
no. Oh, Switchback,
Switchback.
Switchback, which is directed by Jeb Stewart and Danny Glover. Jared Leto's in it too. Ted Levine, William Fincher, Arlie Remy's in it too. It's a
Oh,
great
shit.
movie.
He edited Terminator 2.
Yeah, he is a massive. He is like one of the best film editors that you can get. He is
Holy I'm
great.
looking at his stuff. So he did Spaceballs, Solar Babies, Short Circuit, 2. He didn't do number 1. The Abyss, Terminator 2, Jennifer 8. What did she eat? Oh, but anyway. Um, The Getaway, True Lies, holy crap, Species, good God. Switchback, as you said, Titanic. He edited to Titanic. Like that's amazing. That's awesome.
Going back to James Cameron.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Terminator 2 is going back to him too, but
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
used
yeah,
him a lot. Oh shit though. He edited The Happening.
yeah.
But then he's like, here
With Mark Wahlberg, of
with
course.
Mark
So
Wahlberg. I
I'm
think Mark
telling you, it's
Wahlberg
all a
probably.
giant circle.
Well, yeah, it's a circle jerk, right there. But like, it's funny because like it's like all these people know each other, and they're like, "Hey, I liked this editor for The Happening, even though that was a bad movie. Let's bring him on, Shooter or whatever, you know."
Well, you get,
Um,
Mark Wahlberg, who's also a producer. They're looking for an editor, and he's like, hey, I worked with this guy, let's bring him on. Oh, what's his name? Conrad Buff. Oh, yes, let's definitely get
I
him.
actually, I'm sorry, Shooter came first, then sort of The Happening came after. So maybe they're like whatever. But he also did like he did Infinite, well, also Mark Wahlberg once again. So I think they just, they like using the same guy. He did Equalizer 2 and 3, but didn't do the first one with Denzel. Interestingly enough, I didn't even know that was a TV show, you know, and everything until I
Oh, I
think there
love
was an
that TV show.
episode of Entourage or something where they were mentioning they were gonna redo the TV show version remake Equalizer or something like that, and I was like, wait, that was a TV show? And so I looked it up and I was like, oh man, now I kind of want to see that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got William from fucking Cobra Kai.
William Zabka's
Yeah, he plays the Equalizer's son.
in the TV show,
Yeah. The
and like
show was
the
in the 80s. It was a great show. I watched it from beginning to
1985
end.
show. Okay.
Yeah, Adam
Oh my
Ant even
God,
was in
yes,
in
you're
an
right.
episode.
William Zabka was the son. Oh my God. Now I really want to see it. Where can I fucking find this? Can I buy it on eBay? Um
It's an awesome show. The first movie with Denzel is okay. I saw the second one, which was not great, and then I saw the third. I haven't seen the third one. I'm not going to bother watching the TV show with Queen Latifah because nothing is going to beat the original '80s show.
I mean that's like saying I'm not really gonna watch I don't really want to watch the new Quantum Leap, like no real interest in that,
No.
um but like some people or I tried watching the new MacGyver and was like, ugh, you know, like this show just could have been so much better. They just didn't, or there's that Lethal Weapon show. So like every TV show that's based on a movie or another older television show just doesn't feel the same anymore. And I think it's just where we're at right now with our social climate and our political agendas being thrown in to shows that just don't really need it,
Well,
like I'll give you an example real quick is Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. They did
I
a
I
they
saw
did
you
this
guys talking about that. Yeah.
yeah, they did a race swap of it and it's pretty much the same movie. Like
So it's
literally.
it's a dude.
No, it's the same movie. It's a race swap, not a
Oh,
sex
oh,
swap,
oh, race.
gender
Oh,
swap.
so it's
So
like
it's a
a
race
black
swap.
girl
So it's
instead of a
it's
white
a
girl.
black girl. Rose is still white though. Like the boss is still white, which is weird.
I've
Um,
never seen the movie. I have no idea.
yeah. So like they even have
I
the
know the
same
poster.
lines. Like there's a very famous scene, I'm sure you've heard of it at least, where the guy who's been in like Keith Coogan has a scene in the original movie where he just shot puts a some dishes and then he shoots it, right? And then he says the dishes doing the dishes like all like break and he goes, the dishes are done, man. And it's like one of the most famous iconic lines in all of like
Never heard
that
of it.
kind of stuff. And then they do it in the trailer for the Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I'm like, it's now just lost like, whatever it had, and it's just sad. We don't need this stuff. Like we don't there's some movies that just don't need to be remade. Paul and I were talking about this. If you're gonna remake a TV series or a movie, if you're gonna make a movie, especially, do one that like John Carpenter did The Thing, right? The Thing from Another World. We watched that, and I go, it's so different from John Carpenter's version. They like, there's a lot of differences, in it that I think they should remake that The Thing from Another World again, but as The Thing from Another World, not just The Thing like they did the prequel or whatever. I think they should remake it as The Thing from Another World and just make it like we've got technology now that can make it cool. Now, whether or not it's good or bad doesn't matter, but if you're going to remake something, at least remake something like that, not remake.
Well, they actually are remaking it.
Are they?
They found the original manuscript to the book. I think it's called Frozen Hell, and they're remaking it under Frozen Hell. I think that's the
Really?
title. Yeah, because there's like
Oh,
a whole bunch of stuff that was in the manuscript that wasn't in the original story. Who goes there? But that was the thing with the original Thing from Another World is they couldn't afford to do the short story, so
hmm.
they had to make him the carrot monster.
The Carrot Monster. I loved it. It
You
was so
know,
great. It was so fun. But it
I
was
like it. Donald Wills and I are doing for film discussion. We're discussing all three
all three.
movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, do I think John Carpenter's The Thing is much better of a movie? Yeah. It's just a different movie. And so, in my opinion,
I but they can okay. So I know we're not staying on target here, but if you're going to remake something, have it make sense. Okay, The Honeymooners, all white TV show about middle class people. You know, the one guy Ralph is the bus driver and stuff, right? They live in an apartment, so they remade it. They race swapped it, and that made sense. It actually made sense because they kept it on that same type of level as far as like where they are like financially. So it's you could believe that Ralph is a black guy driving a bus. That makes sense.
hmm?
But does it make sense to have the babysitter race swapped from white to black in
Well, no, no. I
the
mean,
remake? Like, does it
babysitter
serve a
herself is
purpose?
not. The babysitter herself is still a nasty old white woman. But the kids and everything, they're all black, and it's just
So
it's
okay,
just
okay. Like I said, I've never seen them. I just know
yeah,
the poster.
it's
So,
just no, yeah, it's just
but
silly.
is there a reason for them to be black in this instead of white?
Not really. Just it's just they wanted to do it. It's it sadly it's DEI. In my opinion, it's like we need to have enough remakes but remake Boys in the Hood if you want to. I don't care. Remake Higher Learning, remake all these wonderful movies that were written for black people, like that. I mean, people would hate if you know was it race swapped Boys in the Hood with white people. They would hate that, or Hispanic people, or any other race. They would. I
But at
mean,
times we don't care. We didn't complain, when Perry White on Superman was made black because we
yeah.
like Lawrence Fishburne. We didn't care. We didn't care when Daredevil was made black because we like Michael Duncan Clark.
Oh, you
You
mean
know,
Kingpin? Yeah, and
or Kingpin.
I
And
fucking
and
love
and
Kingpin and that. Like, I thought he was great, but
but I think it's when you don't make a big deal out of it. When when you Star Trek, the TV shows. All right, so we have Captain Kirk and Picard who are white. Okay. Then after that, we have Cisco, who's black, and then we have Janeway, who's a woman. Nobody went, oh, the black Star Trek.
mhm.
Oh, the chick Star Trek. No, because it seemed natural. It was just another captain for a space station or for another ship. It wasn't that Janeway was Captain Kirk.
Well,
But when you start doing stuff like that, that's where the problem comes
to
in.
keep it on target, when you race swap and gender swap the FBI agent, why do that? Like, is it because you are trying to meet a quota, or is it that you think this actress like that you want a character that is both female and black instead of Hispanic? Because it should have been a
I
Hispanic woman if you're gonna
and
just
this keeps it a little on track because we'll go to Entourage, which is Mark Wahlberg. Ari, when he fires she leaves, but the original assistant, who was freaking gorgeous, who went to James Cameron, and he hires the gay Asian guy. And Ari even says, I just checked 2 boxes.
yeah.
So that's exactly what it is. That's Ari didn't hire the second assistant because he's a good assistant. He hired him because he's gay and Asian.
Well, I mean, he's a really good assistant. He's my favorite, one of my favorite characters in the whole show. I fucking love Lloyd.
But he wouldn't have said that if he hired him because he was a good assistant. Later, yeah, he might prove himself and we like him and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I like the character, but you wouldn't say something like that unless that's why you hired him.
Yeah, he hired him. Well, because he also said, "I hired an assistant. I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to fuck,"
Right.
and everything to E.
Fucking
So
E, man.
yeah, I know you hate that character, but once again,
He's
we've talked
such a
about this.
he's such a pansy. God, is he a pansy? This is a guy who has no balls at all. I mean, when it comes
Well,
really
his
to
character does grow and he does get more balls later. But then he'll get more balls in one episode and then go back and revert back to another one. So it's funny. His character kind of it's more like real life where sometimes we do grow, but sometimes we backslide into what we used to be like, and then we grow some more and whatnot. I love E. I once again, I kind of identify a lot with E, and you even said, "Oh my God, I kind of see that," and I was like, "Damn it, I thought I was the only
yeah,
one who saw that."
I kind of do. I used to in my 20s, I would be more, what's the main guy's name?
Vince?
Vince. I was Vince in my 20s. Absolutely Vince. I'd get the chicks, I'd have the one night stands. I would get all
Well,
that.
I don't think you could be like
Now,
Vince, where you just park your car and people see you and then ask you to come into their car, and
no, and I remember this. I was driving back from my uncle's house. He was in Northern California, and I was driving back down to the Bay Area. And there were these girls, they were probably teenagers, and I was in my 20s at the time. And all of them got up on the window and started like going like, and they were doing all 3 girls, like the dad or mom was driving, and they were doing that. I used to get shit all the time.
well,
And now I'm the Matt Dillon
or Kevin Dillon,
character,
Kevin
or
Dillon.
Kevin Dillon.
Yeah.
Shit, I wish I would be Matt Dillon.
Well, thank God
Still
you're
good
not
looking.
Turtle. Who isn't a
Nobody
terrible
wants to be
character.
Turtle.
And he's
Nobody wants to be
he
Turtle.
he also sort of grows and matures, and I think that was the thing where
His
after
clothes are a big deal of why I don't think women want to get with him, is that he dresses like he dresses like a 10-year-old. He dresses like he's always wearing the sports clothes, which an adult should not always be wearing, especially if you're out trying to get women, unless you're a basketball player or
unless
something
you're
like that.
Kevin Smith who always wears a jersey, you know, that's just
Which was fine because he was like a huge hockey fan and it was like part of his personality, and he was really overweight. So that's like the only shirt he could wear. But it's yeah, I don't know.
well.
But
Also,
speaking of,
Turtle's a little overweight. That's probably why he wears the jerseys.
they do mention a couple times in what I've seen that he's overweight, which I thought was unfair because it's like, yeah, he's got some meat on him, but he's not like
Well,
obese.
he's not obese, but he's a little chubby, a little bit. At
Chubby
least,
is that's just meat on somebody. So,
yeah.
but I mean, speaking of growth, and to go back to Shooter, is we have both, Kate and Michael Pina, they both grow.
Yeah.
They do have growth. So speaking of growing, because
Yeah.
she pulls out the gun in her bra and she's shooting the guy, and like, Michael's, right behind there, and now he's out in the field, he's like fresh right out of the academy, and
Yep, he's going
you
along with
know
them.
and
He's doing stuff that he normally wouldn't have been doing, and
yeah.
was it uh um what's his name? Mark Wahlberg doesn't really have like a lot of growth, in this movie. Like his character doesn't really change at all. Like throughout it, he is like, I'm here to prove that I'm innocent, and that's it. Like that's his whole thing,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's fine because, especially if you're going to show the other two characters grow, the villains don't grow because they're villains, and they're sort of like they're always going to be douchebags, or whatever. So,
Well, and these
um,
guys are way too confident. All of them are
mhm,
way too overconfident because they like the Russian guy, I think he's Russian, that's in the wheelchair, as we find out that he was in the building that collapsed. And he even tells Wahlberg's character, like, you either get killed or you work for him. And
mhm.
now he works for him.
Yeah,
And
there was a really great scene with them too, you know. There's like what a big huge freaking like monologue, or whatever.
those were very good. Like, yeah, like the lead singer from the band with that scene with the conspiracies, and then the guy in the wheelchair telling him everything that's going on. And they knew what they were doing on this film.
Hmm.
They really, especially with seeing the behind the scenes, they worked hard at this. You could tell that they wanted to make a good movie, which is why I wish more people knew about it.
Yeah, I feel
They
like this
they
movie
know
did
about it,
sort
but
of
they haven't watched it.
fall under the radar, It's not one that gets talked a lot about or whatever, and
No, because, and the reason for that might be, and I might as well go to this then. So it came out. It was number 3 in the box office,
oh, okay,
but
that's
the
actually not that bad, right?
yeah. So it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was number 1.
The Michael Bay one?
Let me just click on this here. No, it was actually a cartoon, the
Okay.
first animated one,
Oh, right, I remember that one.
just the one that just says TMNT.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So that was 24.3 million, and then there was 300. That was second. So that was 19.1, and Shooter did 14.5. So it was behind 2 movies that are based on comic books. So I don't know, maybe that's not too bad.
Yeah, considering this is like based on a book, but a book that like wasn't very well known, I don't think. It wasn't a huge book, or
No.
whatever. It did have a series of stories, I believe, like Bob Lee Swagger stories, but yeah.
I know of 3 novels. I don't know if there's more. There might be more. Because it says for the TV series, um, picked it up as under the, yeah, it just says USA Network picked it up for a series. It doesn't say. I think that there is. But the film itself, its budget was 61 million and its box office was 95.7 million.
Okay.
So I don't think it did great.
All right. There is how many? Okay, so the books, if people wanna check, there's 12 books, by the way.
Oh
So
my
there is a
God.
series. The first one's called Point of Impact. Second one's called Black Light. Um, Third one is called Time to Hunt. The 47th Samurai is 4. Number 5 is Night of Thunder. Number 6 is Eye Sniper. 7 is called Dead Zero. Number 8 is The Third Bullet. Um, what is it? Number 9 is Sniper's Honor. 10 is G-Man. 11 is Game of Snipers. Interesting title. And the last one right now is Targeted, and I'm guessing that's I don't know if that's the final one or if what's the guy's name? Stephen Stephen Hunter is his name. Kind of funny for a movie like for a book series like this, where Sniper might as well have been Steven Sniper. You know, wrote this book, Stephen Hunter, and yeah, there's 12 books. Anybody can
Wow.
grab I'd love to get one. I'd love to get the first one, but I don't want the. So if you like the point of impact, I saw, but just had it say shooter, right? And then at the top it says like number one, point of impact. And I'd want to get it where it's a book where it just says point of impact, not where it's like, had to
Yeah,
make
but
sure that,
as I'm sure you could find it. Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
it
would like to
says
get it at some point.
maybe that other name you're thinking of for Swagger, because it says he's also known as Bob the Nailer.
The Nailer, that was the other name.
Yeah, and the character is loosely based upon real Vietnam War sniper and U.S. Marine Corps legend, Carlos Hathcock.
Carlos Hathcock?
Yeah, I'm looking at it from the book.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. I mean, honestly, I did really like the movie. I'm very happy I have it. I would probably watch it again and again. It's a
Well,
it,
so
it
what made you like? I messaged, hey man, did you have you seen Sniper? I loved it, and you're like, no, I
shooter,
have
yeah.
a shooter. God, what the fuck am I saying? And I hate being 56, and I'm so old. Um, like have you seen this? You're like, no, I had no idea that you were going to buy it and watch
I
it and
wasn't
wanted to do a
planning to
video.
I mean, like when I went out to Big Lots, that wasn't the plan. The plan wasn't I'm gonna see if Shooter's there, or whatever. It's just I was looking around and that was there, and I wanted that and Four Brothers, which I don't have. I have them both, I believe, on DVD at the studio separately, not together. So when I saw them together, I was like, hey, two for one you know.
Yeah,
And and I'm glad I didn't know if there were, two different discs. I thought they might be just one disc and stuff, and I was still okay with that. But
but what made you actually sit down and watch it? Because then when you got done, you messaged me and you're
well,
like,
no,
this
I
is a
didn't.
really good movie.
Well, no, because I messaged you that yesterday after we were planning on doing it, planning to review it. I wasn't actually planning like until I kind of mentioned it to you, and I said I think I wanted to do it for Blu-ray Hunter reviews because, it's a Blu-ray, and I'm kind of getting into these political stuff. We can announce this, I guess, in May. We're hopefully going to be doing, well, I'll be doing like a whole political, month where I'll be doing just nothing but political, videos or
Which
something
is
like,
also interesting because you'd brought up some Oliver Stone, and here's another guy who you think would
yeah.
be very Republican, and he's not. He's a Democrat. He purposely made the movie W to keep George W. Bush out of office to show how incompetent he is. So the guy made a
So
whole movie just to stop him from being president.
yeah. This movie.
And it's a good film.
Josh
So
Brolin. I keep getting James and Josh mixed up sometimes, but Josh Brolin, from Goonies.
yeah, he
Um,
made that we made one movie that launched him into stardom, and then he's never had to look back.
who? Josh
Josh
Brolin.
Brolin. Yeah, he
So
was always kind of like that B movie guy who was in the Goonies, and then I think he did something like "And Then There Will Be Blood" or one of those around that time period that everybody went, "Oh shit, he is good," and then he's just been an A-list actor since.
yeah, he was. But yeah, he was in Goonies. He was in Thrashin'. It's one of my favorite sports movies. I don't know if you ever saw that. That's um
Long time ago,
the skateboard
VHS.
movie. I
Yeah,
actually interviewed the bad guy, the guy who was like the lead of the Daggers, Robert Russler, and he also was in Weird Science with Robert Downey Jr. So my favorite stuff that when we were chatting, he would tell me stuff about the fact that was it Robert Downey Jr. would just like because they're supposed to play friends, in Weird Science. So he just like shows up at at Robert's house one day. Knock, 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 and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Hey, want to hang out?" Like it's like, and they just like hung out the whole time before shooting, before shooting Weird Science, and I thought that was really fucking cool. Like, I mean, nowadays everybody wants to hang out with Robert Downey Jr. I think back then he was still part of the Brat Pack, I think, or so, but.
Well, remember, him and Anthony Michael Hall were best friends back then. I mean, Anthony Michael Hall directed that horrible movie, which I must own one day, Hail Caesar, where he's like writer, producer, director, actor, and you can actually see on his face the exhaustion. And I think he plays like a rock like legend, and Robert Downey Jr.'s in that. So they did films together because they were friends, and then one of them skyrocketed and the other one didn't.
Oh, poor yeah. Uh Poor Anthony. Well, I mean he's still out there doing stuff, like he's
Oh, I love Anthony Michael Hall. I would
yeah.
love to work with the guy. It's just, it was just, but Robert Downey Jr. has always stood out. Like, and a while back I watched Forced First Born with Robert Weller, RoboCop, Robert
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller. Thank you. And where he plays like the abusive stepdad and stuff, and Robert Downey Jr. is in that, and he's probably like a teenager,
Yeah.
and he stands out from everybody because he's so weird in the movie. He's just like one of the weird friends, but he's the weirdest.
Whoa.
So
Yeah. Well, all right. I think we are about that time wrapping up, but I just want to thank you so much. We don't do ratings on this, thing for Blu-ray Hunter, but I appreciate everything for there. I mean, yeah, I'd give it a 5 stars. Like I fucking love this movie. I would watch it over and over again. And in the fact that it's a 2 hour and a 6 minute movie,
yeah,
still you wouldn't know, like it goes by that quickly that
yeah.
it just doesn't feel like a 2 hour movie. Some
I
movies feel 2 hours or more,
Oh God.
or whatever.
Well, a while back I just never liked Mark Wahlberg. I knew of his past, and I did not care about Marky Mark, and I just never thought that he was a very good actor. But even though we had Boogie Nights and a couple others that I liked, but it's like I would never see a movie for him,
Hmm.
and but I would not see it because he's in it. I think I said that right. And but now I forget what movie it might have been, because I've been watching the Peter Berg films and they did like 5 movies together. That it's like, fuck this, I actually like him now. And that's when I started thinking, like, should I like a guy who has a past like this?
This is why you asked me in the beginning about my feelings on him,
Yeah,
but
because I had some people even ask me, like, when I posted some stuff about Tom Cruise, this is about a year or so ago, and they're like, how can you like him? He's a Scientologist. And it's like, well, how can you like Denzel Washington? He's a Christian.
how can
So
you
it's like,
like Natural Born Killers because Juliette Lewis is a Scientologist? I
yeah,
mean,
and that's an awesome movie.
and that's an
So
awesome
it's
movie. Oliver Stone too. But
yeah, oh,
there you go. Keeps
and
going
Quentin
back to him.
Tarantino. Yeah, it does. It does. And so
Well,
it's
yeah, sort of. Like the characters are it, and maybe a couple lines, but really it's an Oliver Stone written movie because he rewrote it and which if you read the original draft for Natural Born Killers, it is not like the one Tarantino did. It is not nearly as good as what Oliver Stone did. Sorry, Tarantino. I know he was a little bit angry about that, which I get, like, but he shouldn't be angry. He got paid, like as a writer, like whatever happens after you give that your baby away,
hey, remake it.
um, I thought
It's
he was
been it's
going
been long
to.
enough.
I thought he was going to for his last film, but nope. He's decided to do
So
the
we'll see.
movie critic.
But yeah, so it's I've now, and maybe it was with Transformers too, because I was watching. all the Bayformers, and he's in like the third one on, at least for two of them. And no, he's in like the last three. And I just started liking him. He started growing on me. And so now I'm kind of watching his movies and watching things that he's produced, and uh, uh checking out other things, because I didn't know that he had all these businesses like a restaurant and a gym.
You
And
know, he had a. It isn't like there's like a Wahlburgers or something like there's.
yeah, it is Wahlburgers. And I don't know if they're around anymore, but they're because I think in that trailer for his show there was a date beginning and a date end for that. But yeah, I mean, I've come to really like the guy. I've come to like his movies, and so I've kind of branched out, and that's what led me to Shooter, because people a while back, when I had said, "Yeah, I don't like the guy," they're like, "Have you
Mhm.
seen Shooter?" And I'm like, "No, no." Oh, you got to see Shooter. It's by the guy who did Training Day, and it's like, oh, I didn't really like Training Day either. And
I get that. I mean, Training Day's okay, I think, but it's just, I feel like it got overhyped, in my opinion. I like this movie much better than Training Day.
yeah, I mean, I might like Training Day more. I only saw it once, and I saw it with a friend of mine who hates everything. So it's so maybe that was one of the reasons. But no, I've come to like the guy. I just found it Goodwill, that Disney movie that he did, Invincible. So I picked that up at the football thing. So I'm going to check
Yeah,
that
I've
out.
got that. I've got that movie. It's actually really good.
Yeah, and I
I-
found like a Blu-ray that has three movies on it, and one of them is the remake of The Italian Job. And then I found another DVD at Walmart that has The Yards on it, and so I picked that up. But it has like three other movies on it. So no, I like the guy now. I like him. He's not Tom Cruise or Nick Cage to me, but he's in there.
I like his comedies too. Like, other than the other guys, wasn't a big fan of that movie, but I like
Oh,
him
that I
in,
thought was funny. That I like.
really, I didn't really find it
Yeah.
as fun. I need to maybe rewatch it, but I remember not laughing as much and kind of being disappointed. But I really liked what is it? Daddy's Home, and
Daddy's Home is funny.
I love, I don't know if you've seen Instant Family, but that's really good. Funny.
No, he did just do a brand new one for Netflix with for Peter Berg that
Which one?
has Kevin Hart, I think.
Ooh.
Something security.
Honestly, Kevin Hart is not one of my favorites now. He's just it's just kind of
I
annoying me
yeah.
anymore, but
Yeah, he's not one of mine. I,
um,
I felt so bad is when Will Smith did the slap that was heard around the world. I went, Will Smith is such an asshole for slapping Kevin Hart. And people are like,
oh,
people are like, dude,
whoops.
that's not Kevin Hart.
You know,
And I felt so racist. I'm like, oh
uh,
fuck, does that mean that I think all black people look the same?
well, I used to kind of confuse Chris Rock with Chris Tucker, even though they're nothing alike either. They don't even look alike, but I just because they're both sort of semi loud at times.
They do the same type of humor.
Yeah.
So I think that's where my confusion came
Yeah,
in,
and Kevin Hart
is
does the same thing. Kevin Hart is the new Chris Tucker because like he was with the movies he did with Ice Cube, the ride along movies. Those are basically Rush Hour. Like those are
but then Ice Cube did Friday with Chris Tucker.
there you go. So all comes once again incestuous. All of them sort of, whatever.
Yeah, and so it's also easy to to kind of confuse people because they all work with the same people.
Yeah. I get that.
And to let people know, I did confuse a couple white people with each other too, where it's just like, wait, I could swear that was this guy, and it's not. They just look similar.
What is this? I'm trying to find this movie you're talking about, the Kevin Hart. Oh yeah, okay, it's Me Time on Netflix. And John Hamburg did it, not Peter Berg.
No, 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 not that. No,
Okay, well,
that's not it.
Mark
Okay,
Wahlberg and
so
Kevin Hart are in that, but all right. So there's another movie with them?
yeah, so Mark Wahlberg. I think. Oh my God, am I being racist again? Is it Kevin? Am I being racist all over again?
Mm,
No, it's not Me Time.
I don't know.
Hold on here. I might be. Okay, let me look at Wikipedia. I'm going to look at a Peter Berg film. I'm going to click on Peter Berg, and it's okay. So it's 2020, Spencer Confidential. And who am I being racist against? Because I'm getting them confused again. Wow, not even fucking close, man. Winston Duke?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't even know that name offhand. Not, I like, he could be like really, really famous and everything, and I just wouldn't know. Like, some people would be like, oh, these people work for the Kardashians. That's why they're so famous. And I'm like, okay, I don't know people who work for the Kardashians, because they're on that show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like, I don't think that they're famous to me. That they're not celebrities. They're just people who work with people who, you know, whatever, or have gone
Okay.
out with them.
Okay, so this Winston Duke, and I feel really bad about calling him Kevin Hart. I'm sorry, but he was in a couple Marvel movies, Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War. Oh, he was in Us. I loved Us.
Uh,
Avengers Endgame, 9 Days. He's in the
was he the
second Black
father in
Panther.
Us? Yeah,
Yes,
he was the father in Us. Okay.
yeah.
He
The
was really
Fall
good. I
Guy.
loved him in that. I love that movie all the way up to the end. I hated the ending of that movie. And just because I hated the whole like hands are across America, all this other bullshit, and it just felt like, oh my God, this movie could have been so cool if they just stopped at one point and then it just ended, you know? But then they had to go a little bit more, and I just hated that movie. For
I
that.
kind of remember that ending. I just like the whole doppelganger thing.
I
You know
love
why
the
I thought it was
doppelganger thing.
Kevin Hart is I was watching one of Mark Wahlberg's old movies, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the new movie I made with Kevin Hart." So I'm thinking, "Oh, it's the new movie on Netflix that he made."
Mm-mm.
Not that that's an excuse for making,
Well, this isn't
but
new. It's 2020, so I mean, you
well,
know,
the movies I'm watching are like 2016. So it's I'm watching whatever movie I'm watching. That one that you had mentioned with Kevin Hart probably was just out or coming out.
me time or
Me
whatever.
Time, yeah.
Which is funny that they just keep work. I mean, I guess they worked with each other a couple times now. Um, I guess they like working with each other. I don't know. But I liked Instant Family. I have not seen Infinite. I've not seen Uncharted, the Tom Holland movie. Kind of just don't really not
Oh,
really.
that I don't want to watch because I've heard it's like shit compared to the game.
And then there's was it The Family Plan and Arthur the King, which are both directed by the same guy, Simon Sellen Jones, who also, and they're both like, I guess there's a picture deal with, well, I guess that one's out right now, Arthur the King, the dog movie.
Yeah.
Once again, Mark Wahlberg with the dog. He loves his dogs, or he likes chopping their heads off.
Yeah, because if you notice, he's like a different guy. Like I'm looking at his filmography, and it's like Renaissance Man. He kind of plays the Dick Private, Basketball Diaries. He's playing that druggy asshole guy. Fear. He's like the druggy asshole guy. Traveler, where I think that he plays a gypsy, and then we hit Boogie Nights, and then the big hit, The Corruptor, Three Kings, The Yards, Perfect Storm, Planet of the Apes, which I still love. I don't care what people say. Rockstar, Truth About Charlie. But I've been watching a lot of the stuff that's, like I said, like the Peter Berg stuff that's later, but earlier than a lot. Like All the Money in the World, he was good in. Patriots Day, I just watched. That
I
was
have
really
that on
good.
Blu-ray.
That's really good. Even though his character isn't real, it's a combination of a bunch of different people. Deepwater Horizon is really good, about the oil rig that explodes. The Gambler I watched is really good. He actually does, I think that's probably his best acting job, is The Gambler. Lone Survivor is really good, but even that is where I started doing research, and it's like, well, the book isn't exactly what happened to the movie that didn't happen to what happened in real life. Pain and Gain is great. That's the Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got a lot of good movies here.
Well, there you go. We're gonna have to stop this. I'm sorry. It's just going on way too long. It's over 2 hours already.
Oh Christ.
So yeah. So I want to thank you so much for coming on, and everybody else for checking this out. And if you're still here, thank you. You probably heard some things I probably should edit, but I'm probably not going to. Um,
What would you edit?
a couple things I'm not gonna say because then I have to edit what I tell you I have to edit, you know?
Well, you found
But
some stuff inappropriate?
it was usually what I said. Like I don't give a crap what you said because you is you, like you can say whatever you want and I'll give you that platform to speak it. But me, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I should shut my mouth. So yeah. So anyway,
I didn't think you said anything inappropriate or whatever. So I think
we'll
you're
have a
good.
discussion afterwards where I'm not being
Okay.
recorded.
As long as it's not me.
All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.